History is filled with famous Roman emperors. We remember the names that echo through time. We think of Augustus, the first emperor who built an empire from the ashes of a republic. We recall Nero, whose name is linked with fire, excess, and tyranny. We know of Trajan, the great conqueror who expanded Rome's borders to their greatest extent. Then there is Constantine, the emperor who embraced a new faith and changed the course of Western civilization. These men were giants of their age. Their stories are told and retold, filled with grand battles, political betrayals, monumental constructions that still stand today. Their lives were loud, their actions dramatic, their legacies impossible to ignore. But what about the quiet ones? What about the emperors whose reigns were not marked by constant war or bloody scandal? History often overlooks them. Their peace is mistaken for dullness. Their stability is seen as a lack of excitement. Antoninus Pius is one such emperor. His name is not as famous as Caesar or Hadrian. School children do not learn of his dramatic exploits. Yet his time on the throne was one of the longest and most prosperous in Roman history. He ruled for 23 years, a period of remarkable tranquility. This quiet ruler, however, was far from boring. His reign was filled with hidden shocks and revolutionary ideas that would surprise many who only know the more famous names. Antoninus Pius was an emperor who did the unexpected. He did not seek to conquer new lands. He did not build extravagant palaces for his own glory. Instead, he focused on the well-being of the Roman people in ways that were truly radical for his time. He was a ruler who seemed more interested in justice and administration than in military parades and triumphs. This was a man who inherited the most powerful empire in the world and decided that the best way to rule it was with a gentle hand. His story is not one of conquest, but of compassion. It is a tale of how quiet strength and careful management can be more powerful than any army. To understand Antoninus Pius is to look beneath the surface of Roman history. It is to find the story that is not often told. We will explore the shocking acts of this forgotten emperor. We will uncover the secrets of his rise to power and the surprising policies he put in place. His reign was not a quiet, uneventful period. It was a time of profound change, guided by a man whose vision for Rome was different from those who came before him. He was not just a placeholder between the great Hadrian and the philosopher king Marcus Aurelius. He was a force in his own right, an emperor who shocked Rome not with violence, but with goodness. Imagine an emperor who rarely left the city of Rome. While his predecessors traveled constantly, Trajan, Hadrian, inspecting troops, visiting provinces, Antoninus stayed put. He governed the vast Roman Empire from the heart of Italy. This was shocking in itself. How could one man manage such a sprawling territory without seeing it for himself? Critics called it weakness or laziness. They expected an emperor to be visible on the frontiers. Antoninus proved them wrong. He ruled through clear communication and trusted governors. His reign began with a surprising act of devotion. Hadrian had adopted him as heir. When Hadrian died, the Senate hesitated to deify him. Senators had a strained relationship with Hadrian. But Antoninus insisted. He fought for Hadrian's honor and earned the title Pius. Close-up coin of Antoninus Pius. This was genuine loyalty, not a power play. It stunned the political elite. The surprises continued. He introduced legal principles that were astonishingly fair. He established that the accused is innocent until proven guilty. He limited the use of torture, only as a last resort. For an all-powerful emperor, these were radical limits. He deliberately restrained his own authority to protect justice. His governance favored careful management, not spectacle. He avoided costly wars for glory. He shunned massive ego-driven building projects. Instead, he repaired and maintained infrastructure, aqueducts, roads. He focused on improving what Rome already had. This modest approach contrasted with monument builders. Antoninus Pius's legacy, stability and prosperity across the empire. Antoninus Pius was often described by ancient historians as a good man. But calling him good does not capture the shocking nature of his policies. His goodness was radical. Consider his treatment of slaves. In Roman society, slaves were property. They had no rights. An owner could treat them however they wished. Antoninus challenged this brutal reality. He passed laws that made it illegal for a master to kill a slave without just cause. If a master treated a slave with excessive cruelty, the slave could flee to a temple or a statue of the emperor and appeal for protection. The law then required the master to sell the slave to someone else. This was a stunning development. For the first time, the law recognized that a slave had some right to be protected from extreme abuse. It did not end slavery, of course. The institution was too deeply embedded in the Roman economy. But it was a step toward acknowledging the basic humanity of enslaved people. It was an emperor telling his citizens that there were limits to their power over another human being. This was not just a kind gesture. It was a direct challenge to the established social order. It was a policy that would have sent ripples of shock through a society built on the foundation of slave labor, where the power of the master was thought to be absolute. Another of his shocking initiatives involved something essential to life: water. Rome was famous for its aqueducts, the massive engineering marvels that brought fresh water into the city. However, access to this water was not always free or easy for the common people. Antoninus ensured that the public fountains flowed freely for everyone. He invested in the maintenance and expansion of the water supply system, not for a fee, but as a public service. In a world where everything had a price, the idea of the government providing a vital resource like clean drinking water for free was astonishing. It demonstrated a commitment to public welfare that went far beyond what was expected of a ruler. These actions reveal an emperor whose thinking was far ahead of his time. He was not just a benevolent ruler, he was an innovator in social policy. While other emperors measured their success in territory conquered or enemies defeated, Antoninus measured his in the well-being of his people. He left the empire with a massive treasury surplus, not by raising taxes, but by being a prudent and honest administrator. He proved that a government could be both compassionate and fiscally responsible. The story of Antoninus Pius is the story of an emperor who shocked Rome not with terror, but with an almost unbelievable sense of justice and duty. His reign was a quiet revolution. Antoninus Pius was never meant to be emperor. His path to the throne was not one of ambition or military conquest. He was a wealthy senator from a respected family, but he was not in the direct line of succession. Born Titus Aurelius Fulvus, Boionius Arrius Antoninus, he had served with distinction in various administrative roles. The reigning emperor, Hadrian, was a complex and brilliant man. He was also childless. Securing the future of the empire was his greatest concern. His first choice for successor was a man named Lucius Saeonius Commodus. Hadrian adopted him and renamed him Lucius Aelius Caesar. Aelius was handsome and popular, but he was also known for his extravagant lifestyle and, more worryingly, his frail health. On the first day of the year 138 AD, the unthinkable happened. Lucius Aelius Caesar died suddenly. His health had always been delicate. His death sent shockwaves through the Roman political establishment. All of Hadrian's careful planning for a smooth succession had crumbled to dust. The emperor himself was now an old, sick, grieving, and facing a crisis. The throne was effectively vacant, the future of the Roman world was uncertain. Panic began to set in. Without a clear heir, the risk of civil war became terrifyingly real. Hadrian had to act quickly. He was dying, and he knew it. He needed someone reliable, someone who could steady the ship of state immediately. What Hadrian proposed was a political arrangement of stunning complexity. He would adopt Antoninus as his son and heir. But there was a condition, a crucial part of the deal that would shape the next half-century of Roman history. Antoninus, in turn, had to adopt two other young men, Marcus Annius Verus and Lucius, the young son of the deceased heir. This was Hadrian's masterstroke. He was not just choosing a successor, he was creating a dynasty. Antoninus was being asked to become the future emperor and to serve as a bridge to the next generation. His acceptance of this strange and binding arrangement was his first act as a ruler, and it demonstrated his profound sense of duty. When the news of Hadrian's decision reached the Senate, it was met with a mix of surprise and relief. Antoninus was one of their own. He was a man they knew and, for the most part, respected. They saw him as a pliable figure, a man who would govern in partnership with them, unlike the autocratic Hadrian. This perception, however, was a profound miscalculation. The senators underestimated the man they thought they knew so well. Just a few months later, in July of 138 AD, Hadrian died. The moment of transition was here. Now, the true test of Antoninus's political skill began. There were loud calls within the Curia to officially condemn his memory, a process known as damnatio memoriae. It was the easy path to consolidating his own power. But Antoninus did the exact opposite. He stood before the hostile Senate and refused to condemn Hadrian. He argued passionately that Hadrian should be deified. The senators were furious. They saw this as a betrayal. Ultimately, Antoninus won. The Senate reluctantly deified Hadrian. In that struggle, he earned his name, Pius. The title recognized his filial piety, but it signaled more. He had outmaneuvered Rome's most powerful men. He proved he could speak softly, yet possess unbending resolve. He would not be their puppet. Having secured his position, Antoninus made another shocking move. He announced he would govern from Italy, and mostly from Rome itself. He believed the empire could be managed via competent governors and a reliable system of communication. He trusted the empire's structure. He was a manager, a CEO for the Roman world, who thought problems solved with good governance rather than with a sword. His power didn't come from the image of a warrior on a horse, but from his position at the center of the vast, complex web of Roman government. It was quieter, more subtle power, and it proved incredibly effective. The ultimate result of Antoninus's administrative style was a period of unprecedented stability and prosperity. His 23-year reign is often called the happiest era of the Roman Empire. By avoiding costly wars, managing the state's finances with care, and ensuring the fair administration of justice, he created an environment where commerce could flourish and ordinary people could live their lives in peace. He was a dutiful father to his two adopted sons, Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus. He was not just ruling for his own time, he was safeguarding the future of the empire for the next generation. When Antoninus Pius died peacefully in his bed at his villa in Lorium in 161 AD, he was 74 years old. He passed on an empire that was secure, prosperous, and at peace. He left a full treasury, a well-ordered administration, and 2 well-prepared successors ready to take his place. This seamless transfer of power was itself a testament to Antoninus's brilliant and patient planning. The treasury he left them was the greatest gift a new ruler could ask for. However, the peaceful world Antoninus had so carefully maintained began to fracture almost immediately. The Parthian Empire in the east launched an invasion. The war would last for 5 long years. It was a costly and difficult campaign, one that would have been financially crippling had it not been for the vast surplus left by Antoninus. The returning legions brought back with them a devastating plague. It swept through the empire for years, killing millions of people. The stable, predictable world of Antoninus Pius was shattered. As the population dwindled, Germanic tribes along the northern Danube frontier saw their chance. The age of the quiet administrator was over. The age of the warrior emperor had returned with a vengeance. The vast treasury surplus was gone. Marcus Aurelius was forced to find new sources of revenue, even resorting to debasing the silver currency. The Golden Age was being consumed by disease and war. Later emperors, facing turmoil and crisis, would look back on the age of Antoninus with a deep and painful envy. Antoninus Pius was a true revolutionary. But his revolution was not fought on the battlefield. It was a revolution of principles. He introduced the legal concept. An accused person was innocent until proven guilty. He dared to interfere in the sacred right of a master over his slave. He provided free, clean water as a public right. His frugality funded his generosity. He proved the most shocking act is to be genuinely good. In doing so, he created a fleeting, perfect moment in Rome's long story. He is the forgotten emperor who should be remembered most, for he showed the world that the most profound legacy is not one built of stone, but one written in the prosperity and well-being of the people.